If you've ever used Bitcoin to like do a purchase like out in the real world, you know how difficult it can be just trying to figure out the price of things. And I feel like that's one of the things that holds people back from investing in Bitcoin is when you hear the word cryptocurrency. People hang on to the word currency because it's the word that they understand. So they expect it to work like a currency. And honestly, that's what Satoshi wanted for Bitcoin. He wanted it to be a peer-to-peer currency. Unfortunately, over the years, due to the fact that there's only 21 million Bitcoin, and due to the fact that, people love, when their investments go up, the price of Bitcoin is what people focus on the most. And I think in large part, what really Bitcoin is supposed to be about has been lost. Well, what I'm going to share with you today has the potential to bring back the original vision of Bitcoin. And no, I'm not talking about bias today, not talking about 100 today. I'm talking about DXO. Now, what is DXO? Simply put, DXO is an extension of Bitcoin or BNB or another deflationary asset. Right now, it's just Bitcoin and BNB. What do I mean by extension? Basically, we have cryptocurrency, right? And all cryptocurrency shares like certain aspects. If it's on Binance Smart Chain, it's easy to send to people. You know what I mean? It's pretty cheap compared to traditional finance. You can send it around the world, right? For the same fee as sending it to somebody in the same room with you. That's the incredible part. Unfortunately, a lot of crypto falls short in that that's it. It's just speculation. It's just, looking for pumps, price action, that kind of thing. Okay, so DXO ain't none of that. It's not speculation. This isn't going to pump, at least not in the way that you think. Okay, what this is if you go to the store or anywhere and want to use Bitcoin, right? If something is $30 or $40, you're going to struggle to figure out how much Bitcoin you need to use to spend $30 or $40. And most stores, especially right now, they don't have it set up to easily convert. So what DXO does is, rather than having a stablecoin print from thin air, or rather than have what's called a collateralized asset where you have to stake something and then you can mint it, all those type of things break or they're going to break, right? We know how much Bitcoin there is. We know there's only 21 million, right? We know that Bitcoin is decentralized. You can't mint any more Bitcoin. That is the most important thing. That is the fundamental difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can't mint any more Bitcoin. You can't create any more Bitcoin over the 21 million, whereas Ethereum technically is an unlimited supply, and that's why the Ethereum price hasn't went anywhere in 3 or 4 years. You can check it here. In 2021, Ethereum was $4,000, and here we are 4 years later, and it's less than that, right? So since we know how many Bitcoin it is, it's like if we could know how much gold there was in the ground. That's the biggest issue with gold. We don't know how much gold there actually is. You can't know like definitively how much gold there is. So how can you determine the value of something, right, when you don't know how much there is? We know that the dollar has an infinite supply, and the Fed just prints money. So that's why the dollar loses value, probably like every week or every month, much less every year, right? So now DXO plans to flip that. We know how much Bitcoin there is. The value of Bitcoin keeps going up because that inflationary fiat money is some of that. A small part of that is finding its way into Bitcoin. Okay. So now let's take that, burn $100 of that. And now when you go to the store, instead of trying to figure out what, 0.00 such and such of Bitcoin to buy something, you can just burn $100 worth of Bitcoin and it will create 100 DXO. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to do it right now, but I'm going to do it with BNB. BNB is also deflationary. I don't know why most people don't know this. Every time BNB is used, some of it is burned, and Binance reports on it every quarter. It's the reason why Binance has been beating most cryptocurrencies since it came out, specifically Ethereum, right? So I got a little bit of BNB here, and I'm going to try to, you see how much DXO I have. I'm going to try to burn maybe $10, 10 DXO worth right here. So let me show you. First of all, this is a cool way to cheat to see the price. All you got to do is bring up Bitcoin. Right? And so now, let's see, how much is $10? Is that 10? Okay, that's too much. Let's go 1.8. All right, that's good. And let me see, 1.7. No, 1.8. All right. Let me try to get it exact. 1.75. There you go. So 0.0175. And as you can see, I have my 10 additional DXO. It was 7 point something, 8.9 or 9 something. I did 10, and now I have an additional 10 DXO. Okay. What this does, like, this is incredible to be able to take, something that's, a bit complicated in terms of like knowing the exact amount and all that. And now you're using one crypto to create another crypto. You can't make DXO without burning something, right? You can't mint it out of thin air. It's not a collateralized asset. It's not, Luna, where you have one asset supporting another. You're literally taking the price. It's like an exchange. DXO stands for deflationary exchange output. That's what it stands for. If you read the white paper, that's what it will say. And so the reason why it's an exchange, it's like, when you have Bitcoin, you can take Bitcoin and turn it into Tether, right? And use Tether wherever. Basically, burning Bitcoin or BNB is the same thing. You're turning that into DXO. And now you can take that DXO and use it for things. Now, here's the thing. Ain't nobody using this right now because hardly anybody knows about it. So this is not going to be like other, cryptocurrencies where, it's like speculative and, it's going to pump and different things like that. It's just like the early days of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin was like a crypto first, and it established itself as a market in the real world first. That's how Bitcoin differs from everything else. There was no swapping Bitcoin when it came out. There was no Bitcoin swap. The first time somebody actually exchanged Bitcoin for fiat, was on like a centralized exchange. Before that, it was, hey, give me a pizza. I'll give you 10,000 Bitcoin. Right? So, but I think that's kind of cool in that it established itself as a market first. So many of these scams, crypto, I know my screen is going crazy. I don't know if that's because I'm recording. It never does this. But, like a lot of times now, people just look at crypto for the price and nothing else. It doesn't serve a purpose. This actually serves a tremendous purpose. Number one, it gives because it's created from Bitcoin and BNB, it gives anybody anywhere a way to transact in a decentralized way. If you're watching this from America, you don't understand that. Like, the dollar is the king. But in other countries, literally, their currency will inflate on a weekly basis, a daily basis. In places like, historically Venezuela, Zimbabwe, other places. It's still happening right now, right? That's why Nigeria, don't believe the FUD coming out of Nigeria about Binance. It's all FUD. What they're upset about is the number one country in the world for Bitcoin adoption is Nigeria. And the government hates that basically is devaluing their currency. Well, the reason why people are using Bitcoin in Nigeria is because their currency was trash in the first place, right? If it wasn't, people wouldn't have any issue using it. Sometimes people go to the ATM in Nigeria and there's no money. And I'm not just talking about like, sometimes you go to the ATM and they're like, oh, it ain't no money here. I'm talking about it'll be like that for weeks because as I've mentioned before, most African countries don't even print their own money. They can't. They don't own their own money. They have to order their money, right? So if Nigeria was to create a market or insert any other country, create a market saying, hey, we have Bitcoin. Let's use, it's hard to figure out $1 in Bitcoin, right? You can literally burn $1 worth of this. I would do it right now if my recording wasn't interfering with the app some kind of way. You can mint $1, $5, $100, $5,000, right? Reading the white paper, it says that you maxed out at 50,000 in a 24-hour period. Okay. And speaking of which, you need bias to use this, just like you need bias to mint the Dino Biddies, or you need bias to do anything on the app. You need bias to use this as well. So if you don't have bias, you will not be able to burn anything, right? So that's the cool part, just being able to have basically a simpler way of accounting. Now that's enough. Like that's great, but that's not everything. Okay. That's not even like, it's exciting, but I'm getting ready to tell you like the super duper exciting part. And that is holders of DXO get a percentage of every transaction that happens on the DXO network, just like bias. Now, why is this super exciting? Okay. Bias because of the way it is, people are going to use that as well, but you have the 3% fee, right? Which, is great for holders and everything. But, all the time you may not want to use bias for like, a burger or, something like that because of the 3%. You're going to use it for, more important things, right? DXO, the fee is only 0.5%. So I think more people will use this for like everyday stuff. Bias is more for the savings. Savings is in the name, right? Balance yield and savings. DXO is going to be more, if it gets adoption, it's going to be more used for everyday stuff. So think about how often the dollar is exchanged for everything, for all your bills, for, food, for rent, for whatever. Can you imagine the amount of money that could be generated for you as a holder if DXO was to ever get to that level? I doubt it ever gets to that level. I'm going to keep it real with y'all, right? Just to give you an example of what a crypto can do, 58 billion in volume on Tether in the last 24 hours. That is insane. I don't even know if DXO will get to this level. But if it just gets to the level of doing like 1 million in volume every day, and when I say volume, it's people using it. People using it out in the real world. People using it at their car wash. People using it to, because you owe somebody some money. People using it for birthday presents. People using it for getting your hair done, going to the dentist, getting some ice cream, everyday stuff. Think about the small amount I'm talking about, just $1 million, right? If you own 1%, let's just say, of the network, that $1 million in volume is going to generate anywhere between 50 DXO and 500 DXO based on, how many other holders there are and all that. Imagine if you had some money on the table, right? Sometimes I leave money on the table. And imagine having $500 on the table. And then imagine the next day you left that $500 on the table and you come back and it's now $557. How long are you going to leave that money on the table? You're going to wait a minute. Let me leave it here a little while longer. That's what can happen. So literally, if you go to your local ice cream shop, your local business or your local pizza shop, right? Your business if you own it. And people just start accepting DXO. Why accept DXO? First of all, it's cheaper and faster to use than credit cards and everything like that for the business owner. A lot of y'all may not know, when you use your credit card for a business, I know this is the way it used to be. I don't know if it's still like that now. They get charged 3%. So if something is, $5,000 that you're paying, the business is only getting $48.50. That $150 is going to Visa or MasterCard. Okay? So whereas if you send 5,000 DXO to somebody, the fee is 0.5%. So literally, what is that? That's like $25 instead of $150. And so all you have to do is tell the business owner that, look, instead of Visa and MasterCard, 3%, this is only costing you 0.5%. And it's instantaneous. The other thing that happens when you use a credit card, the business owner does not get paid that same day. The business owner has to wait, a lot of times 3 or 4 days. If you do an international buy or something, it can last for over a week. I bought things online internationally, and the business has shipped it before they even got paid. It took weeks for the money to show up, even though I used a credit card. This is going to show up in seconds, right? So, but the crazy thing about it is, as a regular person, as a business owner, as a whatever, you're basically owning a piece of every single business that uses this. The wow goes right there. Think about that. Every business that uses this, it's like you own, whatever piece of the network that you own, it's like you own that same percentage of somebody's business. So if somebody is doing millions of dollars in revenue a year, right? A restaurant or, insurance agency, a real estate broker, a carpet business, construction, any type of business, and whatever amount of DXO they use, let's say it was millions, it's like you own 1% of each and every one of those businesses, and you own 1% of each and every person that decides to send it for birthdays, for a wedding, for just whatever. Now, I'm saying all of this thinking about in the future. Absolutely nobody is using this right now, just like everything else that I show you guys. For those of you who are wondering, why I focus on early projects and why I don't do like every other YouTuber and talk about all the things that they talk about, it's because there are no opportunities for regular people and stuff like this. This is at 400 billion market cap. Number one, I don't think Ethereum will ever hit 4 trillion market cap. So if you got a couple $1,000s, right, for this to 10x, this has to go to 4 trillion. Why do that, right, when you can focus on something that, you know, in the case of DXO, whatever the market cap is tiny, right? It might be a couple 100,000. I don't know what it is, right? But literally, every time somebody does what I just did, when they burn, you get a piece. If they send it somewhere, you get a piece. If you buy some food with it, you get a piece. If you need to, you know, pay your side chick, right? You know, I always got to have I'm very concerned about the side chick economy. Okay? You know, there ought to be a currency, damn it, that we can use to safely give our side chicks money. Okay? We do not want to be having to give our side chicks our credit cards and things like that. Because if she start buying stuff, the main chick is gonna see that somebody is shopping at a place that she don't shop at. Do you see how important this currency is? No, I'm tripping. I might have to edit that part. My wife gonna get it. But like, seriously, you're not giving up your name. Like, that's the crypto part about it. I really hate the part where crypto turned into, you know, first name, last name, address, all of that. I told you guys, I was one of the first Coinbase customers ever. Literally, I know for a fact I was probably one of the first couple thousand Coinbase customers in the world. And I was able to use Coinbase for years when all you needed was an email. As soon as they start doing that KYC stuff, the first day I sent in my ID, they shut my account down. The very first. Now, why do you think that is? The very first day. You don't have to worry about that stuff when you have something that is truly, truly private and decentralized. Okay? But as I said, nobody is you. Trust me, this works. It's never done this. I don't know what's going on today. But this works, and you can send it through the app. It works much better on your phone. When it comes to sending DXO to somebody or 100 or anything, you know, it's easier to send on your phone. So, and then you could just take your phone out and the business or whatever. I think on the phone, a QR code might pop up. I'm not 100% sure, but, you know, it might be a QR code. And then they can just scan that and you can send them the money right then and there, right? So, I mean, this is huge. Now, this is not one of those things. Again, you cannot buy DXO. You can only burn BNB or Bitcoin for it. So here's my approach when you know, I think about something like this. First of all, a market needs to be established, you know, and somebody has to start it. You know, Bitcoin started with, you know, a pizza. Right. So that's the first thing. So I'll, you know, be trying to like look out for that, you know, to see, OK, are you getting some traction? And you'll know it when you start seeing more DXO pop up in your wallet. That means people are using it. But since I have to burn Bitcoin and BNB, the way that I'm looking at this is I want to wait until I feel like Bitcoin has topped out. Right. In fact, that brings up, I can't believe I almost forgot that. That brings up another point. People have always been looking for a way for their Bitcoin to make passive income. Now, whenever you feel like Bitcoin has reached the top, you can take whatever Bitcoin amount, turn it into DXO, and now Bitcoin has become a passive income generating machine because you had to burn Bitcoin. So you're literally burning it. You're making Bitcoin more scarce, and you're turning Bitcoin into a decentralized passive income machine. Hello. Why isn't this the talk of the town? right? And it makes BNB more scarce. I would think, Binance, once they find out about I would think they would jump all over this. It solves so many problems. Luna would have never happened if it was built like this. Luna would have never, ever happened if it was built like this. Right? So, like this is just another reason. I don't know if I mentioned before, again, you got to have bias to do anything. The burn will not work unless you have at least 100,000 bias in there. Other aspects of this app, you need more bias. So, and of course, bias burns. So bias is more scarce every day. You're making Bitcoin more scarce, BNB more scarce, right? You know what I'm saying? Like this is like the potential for this is all about the income. I don't think we're going to see $100 DXO, right? I could be wrong. I doubt that, right? This is, again, more about, something being stable-ish, right? But generating passive income for you, right? So, again, I don't want to talk about 58 billion, but we can dream a bit. If this gets to 10 million, just 10 million in volume for somebody, that's going to be generating like, 2,000 to 3,000 or more DXO, every day, right? That's the opportunity. So even though I don't recommend, burning thousands and thousands, 50,000 worth of D, I don't recommend that right now. You do want to keep your eye on it because since you're early, you want to try to own as much of the market as you can, right? Before the big boys going. Just like I bought Bitcoin. I thought I was late buying it at $1,000. BlackRock is, basically increasing the value of my Bitcoin because they're just now discovering it at $70. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how that works. So it'll be the same. If this gets any type of traction, if one country adopts this, they're going to do millions in volume. Right now, they're using Bitcoin in, is it Colombia? I hope I got the country right. I think it's Colombia, right? And they just have their Bitcoin sitting in a vault. And I think that's real stupid. Right? Maybe somebody should contact them and say, hey, have you heard of DXO? You can turn that Bitcoin into an income generating passive income machine and own a piece of every other country's business that comes after it. Every other regular business, every other person. Like the potential for this is huge. Okay, so I just wanted to share with you DXO. Haven't talked about it before. The app is acting up right now, but trust me, it works. Check it out. It's your boy BSG. I'm gonna holler at y'all in the next video.